Coming at you live from all over Ohio. A Cleveland Browns podcast full of laughs, rants, fun, and stats. A place where all Browns fans' voices are welcome and heard. A show that aims to inform and entertain you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Barking Browns Show.
On everybody, welcome in. It is episode 86 of the Barking Browns Show, presented by our friends over at Homage Apparel. I am your host, Jacob at Rochism13, joined by my wonderful co-host, as always, Mr. Nick Carnes. Nick, how are you this evening?
Jacob, I am better than you might think I would be coming off. You know what? We've talked a little bit behind the scenes, and we're going to get into it tonight. I know we're coming off a loss. I know the streak against the Bengals is broken. I know there's a lot to unpack here, but I'm not angry. I'm not freaking out. I think there's been a lot of really severe reaction to this loss, and so I'm really excited to dig into it with you.
There's a lot of reaction to losing a game to a very good football team. We are again presented by our friends over at Homage Apparel. I've got my new one, the Brownie the Elk Cleveland Browns homage shirt. It's as soft as they come. Even the first time you wear it, it's soft, it's comfortable, it's practical. You got the Browns, you got Ohio State, the Cavs, the guards. You got everything you could want over there. So go check our friends over at Homage Apparel. If you were listening to the audio version of this, or you are on YouTube, it'll be in the description after the replay, after the show. But if you're on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Give us a little thumbs up there. We have broke 800 as we continue to our plan of world domination. So there's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot to unpack. If you're on Twitter, by the way, go to Facebook or YouTube if you want to interact with the show live. We can't see Twitter comments. We can see Facebook and Twitter. I'm sorry, Facebook and YouTube. There's a lot to unpack, including me stepping in it on Twitter, talking about Denzel Ward. But real quick before we go into this, I just wanted to take a second to talk about the passing of Mike Leach, who truly was a visionary for college football. I mean, he changed it. When you step back and you get past the goofy, the one-liners, by the way, there's a clip of Mike Leach going around where he discussed a Pac-12 mascot fight, not the mascots in their costume fighting, but the actual mascots. He asked, what are the powers of a Sun Devil? Does that Trojan have a horse? And a lot of just classic Mike Leach in that video. But when you think about, the air raid system that dominates college football, that was Mike Leach. I mean, without Mike Leach, we don't have the type of football we play a lot. I mean, he truly was one of one, a legend gone far too soon, and he will never be forgotten.
Jacob, I think you summed it up perfectly. I just want to add, anytime I see someone pass that is younger than my parents, I think about how precious life is, and it's important. Can't take any day for granted because nothing is guaranteed. Try to live the most of life every day. Rest in peace.
Yeah, that's it. Let's jump into it, guys. All right. So we can start where we're always going to have to start, I think, for the rest of the season. And that's Deshaun Watson in the offense. Overall, this is what I'll say. I have two things I want to say. I want to talk about the offense, and then I want to talk about Watson and what he did, because I think they're actually two different trajectories, because I think Watson played much better, but I think everybody around him outside of a couple of people didn't really play very well. The Browns, and I was listening to Jake Burns talk about this today, and it was really like backed up and solidified what I've kind of felt. This run game is broken right now. It's been broken. Last week they did in fact get 100 yards, but that was against Houston, so I don't even know if that counts. It's broken. I'm looking, so I got PFF grades up here right now. The pass pro was fine. From Conklin had an 84. Jed had an 84.4, an 81 for Joel. When you look at it, all that stuff is fine. But then you look at the run blocking grades, and the best one was Joel's run blocking grade at 53, it looks like. In terms of the offensive linemen, I don't see anybody that's better than that. So I'm sorry, you had Harrison Bryant, Pharaoh Brown, and Deshaun Watson all had 60s. So they all threw some blocks down, threw some hammers down, as AC might say. I got my throw the hammer down shirt on its way. So if you're a big Cavs fan, man, go over there and get that throw the hammer down or get that weak stuff out of there. They got some shirts like that, some AC shirts. It's really awesome. I was really so happy when Homage told us about that. And I'm even more happy when I got to place the order today to get it in here. But this, I don't know what it is, but this run game right now, it's not working. I think it's a combination of things. It's not just Froholt. Don't get me wrong. Froholt has not been good at center, and he's definitely not been Ethan Pocic at center. So he has been a below average. He's not a center. I mean, he's a guard that we are now putting in the center role because Michael Dunn, Pocic, and Nick Harris went down. I think that you have Froholt struggling. His all-world right guard, I don't think he's healthy. I think that calf is still there. I told you, Nick, we had the phone conversation yesterday evening, and I was just chatting with you, and I said that if Pocic is not down right now and Michael Dunn isn't also down, I think Wyatt Teller would not be playing right now. Either Froholt would be playing or Dunn would be playing. Someone would be playing so that Teller could get healthy. Like, he might be playing right now, but he might have missed the last game or two. You know what I mean? We were having this conversation. I think maybe he misses more time if they felt good about right guard. They don't feel good about right guard, and they had to move the one right guard in Froholt that was still healthy that they liked to center. So, if Dunn's there, maybe it's a little bit different.
Credit to Wyatt Teller too, because he's playing through injury. There was a story about how he stayed in Cleveland to rehab to try and get healthy, and I think he's doing the best he can. And I mean, it's not a secret how deep the Browns have had to go at center. I was at camp when Dawson Deaton got hurt as well. That's yet another pick that the Browns had.
What's your fourth center?
And so what team realistically is going to get great play out of their fourth string anything? NFL teams just don't go that deep. And so I don't think it's a huge surprise to see him struggling. I mean, we've been really spoiled in the past with Michael Dunn, with Blake Hance, with guys that have stepped up and been able to fill in for injuries. But I think you're seeing the toll that NFL season takes, and so, and you know what, and maybe Nick Chubb isn't 100% right now. He's certainly he's struggled on Sunday, and it's a common. I was reading a lot that Jake Burns put out there, and he always posts film clips of just various Browns plays, and I was going back and forth and watching them, and it's like, I don't think there's one constant that you can say this is why the run game isn't working. It's a combination of a lot of things, and so I think that's a position that the Browns are in right now. And so the good news, I think, is that you mentioned that Deshaun Watson did play better, and I think with these last 4 games, teams are going to continue to say, okay, Deshaun, you beat us, and they're gonna stop the run game. So I do have more faith moving forward that Deshaun will be able to beat them and will be able to apply that pressure, and maybe can loosen up that front defense that's going to be playing against the run game. I do have faith there, but there's no doubt. I mean, Nick Chubb had 8 touchdowns in 8 games, and I know that's a little misleading because he didn't have 1 touchdown in each game. But the point is, his last 8 meetings with the Bengals, he has 8 total touchdowns. He's been a killer of them, and so to see them able to bottle him up, I mean, that's a red flag among any winning formula that you're looking to have. Especially, like you said, Jacob, the Bengals have been dominant, and so I don't think they were. No, it was 23-10. I don't think the Bengals
It didn't feel like a blowout. Like
No,
I don't think at any point in that game that I think it was insurmountable. So it wasn't total domination. Real quick before that, I want to talk about MC's comment here. The lack of the run game is on Stefanski. Can't call Chubb sweeps from the shotgun. He's back on quick dives or he can accelerate through the seam. That's not 100% accurate. You say that you can't call Chubb sweeps from the shotgun. Since the bye week, Nick Chubb's most success running the ball has been out of the shotgun. So that is what is happening. That is Stefanski trying to adjust to the fact that their traditional pin pull and zone read blocking schemes are not working. So he is transitioning to the shotgun sweeps, which he is far more efficient on since the bye week. And that is a combination, I think, of injuries at the running on the offensive line. I think Chubb's a little fatigued at times. He does not look like himself, sometimes hitting the holes not as well as he normally would. And some of that probably has to do with the fact that some of those holes are non-existent. That definitely it plays a part. But, some of this is probably on Stefanski. I don't want to say the MC that I completely disagree because I don't. I think Stefanski needs to figure out why the traditional things that have worked isn't working. That is part of it. But if it's because of injuries and lack of personnel and some things like that, which I kind of think it is, but I also think that DJ Reader is an absolute monster and he absolutely destroyed everyone on that Browns offensive line that tried to block him. And get me one of those, by the way. Can I get a DJ Reader on like Walmart or Amazon? Or maybe I'll even take the Wish version. Yeah, the Wish version of DJ Reader. It's better than what we got.
I'll put it on my Christmas list.
There we go. Santa Claus can take care of that. He can get us a DJ Reader down here. But I'm sorry. I just wanted to kind of address that because I know what MC is saying, but I just don't 100% agree with it.
Yeah. No, and MC, we appreciate you always being here.
Yeah.
Been with us from the beginning. Thank you for continuing to give your time. Thank you to everybody who does. And Jacob, as we look at the offense, I think you talk about the run game and then you segue to Deshaun, who I thought, he came out and hit Amari Cooper immediately, and I was like, now that was a nice pass right there. That was something you like to see. And
I really thought they were going to score a lot of points on that drive.
I did too. You know what? They did their very. I thought they shorted Deshaun a couple times, and that there were first downs that the Browns didn't get. But that's neither here nor there. They start out well offensively as they typically have, right? And so there's been all this controversy over the 4th and 1 trick play. And I would love to know, Jacob, where you come out on that play.
I mean, the play worked. I'm like so sick and tired of listen, there are legitimate reasons to want to fire Kevin Stefanski. And we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about Kevin Stefanski's job security here in a little bit. But there are legitimate reasons to be angry and say you want to move on from Kevin Stefanski. Even if I don't 100% agree, I do see that side of the story, that side of the coin. I don't think this 4th down play is it. I don't think that. I don't think this is it at all when people go all over it. Was it the greatest, maybe the smartest call? Man, probably not. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is everybody keeps telling me that why'd you bring in the backup quarterback who was cold? Was cold? Did he not go through warmups? Was that not the second drive of the game? Like he'd been sitting on the bench for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You think he was ice cold? It wasn't the 4th quarter. Like that's what that part, people keep saying he was cold. Okay, maybe. Well, Deshaun had thrown like 5 passes at that time, so it really wasn't that big of a difference. What are you talking about? He was not. I don't understand that aspect of it. And people say, well, it was too cute. They love that word, don't they? They love that phrase. That it was too cute. Hey, Nick, was that almost a touchdown?
Oh, it was damn near a touchdown. It was damn near. Donovan was open. He was open.
He was wide open and just overthrew him, didn't he? So what you're saying is the trickery worked, but the players didn't execute.
Yeah, you know what? I get the logic.
Things
right?
We talked about last year.
When Jacoby Brissett comes in, everyone says, "Oh man, they're going to QB sneak," right? So Kevin Stefanski's going big brain, and he's saying they all think I'm going to QB sneak because it's been so effective and it's 4th and 1.
And so last week I did this and gave the jet motion,
which it worked.
Yeah.
Right. So you're going, you're doing 3D chess here, and you're saying they all think we're going to QB sneak, so we are going to throw with Jacoby Brissett. So on its face, like, the logic is there. I get why you're attempting that. And Jacoby Brissett's been a significantly better passer than I think everybody had thought he would be. So I understand why Kevin went that way. But I think I keep seeing this. The Browns have been so, I don't know if the statistics back this up, but from watching, it feels like the Browns have gone for it on 4th down many times in that situation, failed. The opponent gets some pep in their step, comes out on the field, and then they go down and score on you. And you drafted Cade York. Cade York's been playing better of late. I just would love to see. I'm not gonna chastise Kevin Stefanski for his play call, because I think we both agree that it was there. The execution just wasn't, and that's not Kevin Stefanski's fault. If Kevin Stefanski, we had this conversation about Baker last year. We said if Kevin Stefanski's calling plays that there's wide receivers that are open and Baker's not hitting them, that's not Kevin Stefanski's fault, right? So I don't think that if Donovan's open, if the play works, if the Bengals are tricked, as we said, then I do think that it's a reasonable call, right? Because it's there. The points are there for you. But I just think we're to the point now, and especially when, entering this game, like Deshaun had played his one of his worst professional games the week before, and I don't think that surprised a whole lot of people. But if you have the opportunity to get points, and I thought that was a very reasonable field goal that the Browns could have gotten, I think you just need to kick it. I think you get your offense feeling good, you get your defense feeling good, who just had forced the Bengals offense off the field. I think that was a perfect spot to get some points and to move forward after that. So that's where my problem is, because I'm not trying to get too far ahead of myself, but I thought the defense early gave the Browns offense a ton of opportunities to jump up and jump out to a lead, and getting those 3 points would have certainly been helpful, because you could see it when the Browns didn't get it on 4th down, the Bengals trotted back on the field, and it just felt like they got a lift, but from that stop, and I'm so that is so frustrating. I think it changes the mood of the game, and I would have liked to see Cade York kick that field goal.
Interesting point that according to True Media, Chubb's EPA in week 10 on under center minus 0.34, in the shotgun minus 0.05. So yeah, it's been much better in the shotgun.
Okay.
Or whatever it was. So I get it. I understand it. I don't really have a problem with the people that are angry with the play call. That's fine. I get it. I understand it. I don't think it's in any way a knock that should be, because everybody is looking for not everybody, a certain portion of the fan base is keeping a running checklist of reasons that Kevin Stefanski should be fired. So anytime there's anything they think they can jump all over, they'll add it to that checklist. Like, you can say, like, bad decision, that's fine. I'm fine with it. But I understand those who are not. I just don't think it's this. I don't think it's egregious, is what I'm saying. Like, I think, like, you can be like, man, I don't like that. Like, MC doesn't like it. That's fine. It's fine. Yeah. I totally understand the people that don't like it. I just don't think it's like, oh my God, why'd you do that? Like, I just don't. I mean, because
it's not exactly running a flea flicker out of your own end zone.
Here's the thing. He throws it like, I don't know, like 10 feet less. Yeah. And you all are talking about the 3D chess that Kevin Stefanski pulled on Sunday.
Yeah.
Overthrows it by a little. The thing is, people are saying not with Brissett. That's why it worked the way it worked. Because you thought Brissett was going to sneak, because that's what he does. Not saying that it wouldn't have worked for Watson, but it was wide open because of the misdirection and the deception and all of that good stuff, tricking people, right? Like, there
wasn't a person in that stadium that thought the Browns were doing anything but QB sneaking it.
Or running it some other way
Sure.
because of what they did the week before when they tricked you into thinking they were going to sneak it and they gave it to Bryant. And my God, Stefanski finally got a win on those tight end reverses that he, for whatever reason, like I love Stefanski. Like I'm a big Stefanski staunch defender of him, but those, man, you got to stop doing these reverses with tight ends, man.
It's tight
unless
end
you got
reverses,
like Kyle Pitts.
Tight end screens, man. Like those two things are Kevin Stefanski hallmarks.
But them tight end screens, man.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned that David Njoku. I felt like he did not get involved early enough. He has been dynamic for you, and for whatever reason, he just wasn't able to get involved until really the second half. And that's a gripe I have, because I think you got to go to Njoku, especially with the way he's been playing. That is, and I don't know how you feel about that, Jacob, but it really, I haven't seen the stats yet. I haven't really dove in, but it didn't feel like Njoku made an impact until the second half.
Sorry, Roger sent me a message and I happened to look at it. No, he did not. I don't know when. I don't have that data point up or anything like that. But no, it did not feel like he got involved. I don't know. I mean, he ended up with 69 of the 72 offensive snaps. I was about to say I wasn't sure what his snap. I had to look and see what he was out there. I'm not really sure. I don't know. Maybe they just. I don't know. I don't know why you didn't dial it up that as soon, because as soon as he gets involved, it goes really, really well. I don't know. Maybe if he just wasn't 100%, and so they just weren't calling him, like maybe because they weren't calling anything where he was the first read until late in the second half, and that, I mean, one of them was a touchdown, but like, I don't know. But there are plenty of things to complain about, like on this offense. But what I did want to say is like, there were some plays with Deshaun Watson. We kind of talked about this last week, but it wasn't super prevalent like it was this week, in the sense that you got to see a few special plays this week in which you go, that's why they think it's worth it. That's why they think all of this has been worth it. And there's more than, there's two. There's two that I want to highlight. And if you guys are trying to, like, if you don't understand exactly what I'm trying to mean by this sort of thing, what I'm saying is there was a few plays in which he did something that I don't think more than 3 or 4 dudes in the NFL can do from that position. That's when I talk about special, that's what I think. I think it's a top 10 thing, right? Special players are top 10 at their position. In my mind, there can be people outside at the top 10 that are special, but like the truly special, worth multiple picks and all this money is somewhere in the top 10. And he made a couple of them. And the first one that always comes to my mind is he's getting sacked on 3rd down, and he threw an absolute dart to Donovan Peoples-Jones. Yep. And I mean, like, there was some mustard on that thing. And I mean, you were contorted. He had to turn back, and I was like, he's going to throw it into the ground. It's going to be incomplete. We're going to punt, which like, it's a lot better than like chucking it up Deshaun Kaiser style and it getting intercepted. But he's going, and he chucks it, and Peoples-Jones was like, it was a little high, but he should. I was talking to our friend Dave on Twitter, and I said, he had no business completing that pass. No business. You don't have any business making that throw. And you did it. And only a handful of guys can do that. And then there was another play. I talked with Eddie Mack, our good friend Eddie McDonald. You can catch us the morning after every Browns game for the remainder of the season with the post-game show that we will record right after the post-game. And then we just release it in the morning. So you'll get one this Sunday. But I was talking to Eddie on the post-game show, which is under, if you're listening to the Barking Browns audio, you can find those post-game shows there, but they're also on our YouTube channel. And I said, he ran for a first down on like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 or something like that, where when you watch him in the angle that he's taking, you're like, he's going to get 5 or 6 yards, run out of bounds. I think it was like 3rd and 10. And he runs out of bounds. He's going to run out of bounds. They're going to, I don't know if they were in field goal range or what. He's going to run out of bounds with 5 or 6 extra yards. We're going to punt. We're going to kick, whatever. And then at the last second, he runs toward the sideline to get an angle on the defender, tiptoes, steps back, stretches the ball out, and gets 11 yards. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah, tightrope at the sideline. Just
You're not doing that with Brissett. You're not doing that with Baker Mayfield. And that's not slights on either one of those guys. But that's the difference that a player of this magnitude is supposed to make.
Yeah. You could see.
You're still seeing something. You're seeing it start to seep out is what I'm saying.
You could definitely tell Deshaun made multiple times, especially with his legs and throwing as well, but made first downs out of plays that if it was most other quarterbacks that we've seen here in Cleveland, those are not first downs. And so I definitely, that's the encouraging part, right? Is you see, there's a couple things to me about Deshaun that have stuck out so far. Number one, he has been under pressure. I think, especially against the Bengals, he was under pressure somewhat often, and still he stayed calm in the pocket. He keeps his eyes down the field. He's not a guy that seems to get rattled, and that's a really important thing, especially with the way. And Jacob had said that the pass grades were better, but I still think that he had opportunities where he could have panicked, and he just has a calm to him, and so I definitely liked that. And just having the threat, you know what, I really thought Deshaun picked up a couple extra first downs, and the refs consistently were marking him a yard short. And I'm not going to try and dig into that.
I'm not going to yell about the refs, but I will say, screw those guys. That's it. And you know what? Bengals fans should say that too. And I had a conversation with a guy at work that's a Bengals fan, and he agreed like that on both ends. He said Jonah Williams false started against Myles Garrett like 10 times, and that's coming from a Bengals fan. And I was like, yeah, and they like clotheslined Myles Garrett, but they called it an illegal hands to the face.
I just want to summarize. I just want to summarize with Sean, because God, what a rivalry it is between the refs and the Browns. But the Bengals.
We're not
gonna dig too deep into that. But I just, you can see Deshaun is progressing, right? Yeah. This would be panic button show if Deshaun looked the same way he did against the Texans, but that was obviously not the case. He completed more passes. The interception was rough. But I will say, offensively, on fourth down, he puts that ball on Donovan Peoples-Jones' chest. Just didn't complete it, but that's still, and I was saying as I was watching the game, I was like, you got this quarterback for these types of situations. He's supposed to bring you back here. And to Sean's credit, he put it on Donovan's chest. It wasn't complete, and the Browns don't come back, but he at least gave them the opportunity to do so. And so I liked seeing that. I liked seeing that obviously he is progressing, and there is noticeable improvement. And so I think, you know what, the defenses the Browns play down the stretch are not particularly intimidating. To me,
they should be favored in every game.
Yes. And so to me, the rest of this season is about how does Deshaun and this offense look? What is it? What is the future? What are we looking forward to? And I think Deshaun gave us a significant reason to be encouraged and excited to see what this is going to look like in the next 4 weeks.
MC says that the loss wasn't on Watson, it's on the team, which is depressing. I will get to that, address that, and give my overall thoughts, and we will shift into a conversation about Kevin Stefanski real quick, as well as switching over to the defense. Yep. But right now, we'll take a quick break, our only break of the show, and hear from our friends at Underdog.
What's up, everybody? We know that daily fantasy never stops, and Network 216 is proud to be a partner with Underdog Fantasy. Very simple to use. All you have to do is go to underdogfantasy.com, and you will just click the sign in button. You'll create an account if you haven't done so already. If you've not created an account, it'll ask you to enter code 216, and they will double your first deposit up to $100. Underdog Fantasy, live draft lobbies that you get to compete with you and your friends. It's no salary cap like DraftKings and FanDuel. You get to go to a draft lobby, pick the players you want, or you can do daily pick'ems, which give you access to all the NFL and NBA games for you to make your picks every single night. Again, go to underdogfantasy.com or use the Underdog Fantasy app on iOS or Android. Use code 216 to double your first deposit up to $100. Sign up today.
Underdog Fantasy is a lot of fun, and it's going to expand on the first when sports betting becomes legal in the state of Ohio.
Can't wait.
I understand the concern that this is a team loss, which is really interesting because I think it is. There's not one thing you can point to. I think in a lot of these games you can be like, the quarterback sucked, or the offensive line sucked, or something like that. I think the defense was fine and then just kind of ran out of gas, and that had a lot to do with it. It is. It's kind of depressing. But when I look at all the injuries and just, I just think the team in Cincinnati is just a lot better than what the Browns are right now. Like where they are and where the Browns are, they're just a superior football team.
I think
considering your quarterback is making his second start in 707 days, you're on your fourth string center, your right guard doesn't look like himself, your right tackle doesn't seem like himself in the run game, your running back is having some struggles. You're now down 4 starting linebackers.
Yeah.
Which is asinine that you have lost 3 centers and 4 linebackers. It's okay. That's fantastic. And all of that stuff. I think that is why I'm not in the panic button, because I look at everything and think, 2023 could be fun, need a lot of changes, but I don't think this is not the 2017 Browns losing again.
I just, you know what, to me, if we're talking about why the Browns lost, I think they beat themselves. You had the trick play touchdown that you did not execute. You jumped into the punter after a great stand. You would have gotten fantastic field position. And
that's on me. I called Tony Fields a breakout star, and then that happened.
And you jump into the punter. What are you? You get a huge sack from Jadeveon Clowney. You get illegal hands to the face. You somehow put them in a bad position. Put the Bengals in a bad position offensively again, and then you get giant passing interference, right? And then
which was just shit. But whatever.
Yeah. You have another opportunity to cut it to a 1-score game, and the ball bounces off Donovan's chest. And then you are also rallying, trying to come back, and Deshaun throws a pick. To me, I think the Browns could have won this game. They just beat themselves. The Bengals did not make any of those mistakes. They didn't.
No.
And the Browns made all of them. They beat themselves. They beat themselves.
I'm like laughing and crying if people can't figure it out.
It's a 23-10 game. Every play I just mentioned is a pivotal. I mean, that's 14 points between Donovan and Jacoby's missed pass, two Donovans, and that's amazing field position you gave up with the punt, and you obviously turn it over with the pick, and so here we are.
So that brings me to my next question. And this is one that is popular on Twitter and popular all over the place. And I didn't think it was something we needed to do again, but we're probably going to do it anytime that we lose this year. So I'm kind of naive. And that's, where do you sit on Kevin Stefanski's 4th season? Does he get a 4th season? That sort of thing. I will let you start because I got a lot to say about that. Okay. But, so where are you at, man? Like, is Kevin Stefanski safe? Does it depend on these 4 games? Does he get a year with Watson? What is it right here on December 13th? What do you feel?
I've been an avid defender of Kevin Stefanski. I think anybody who watches our shows knows that. I don't think he's without fault in a lot of this, and he's certainly not perfect. So that being said, I do think these last 4 games are going to be heavily impactful. I think how the offense looks is going to be heavily impactful. If you're making me decide right now, this is a lot harder question. I'm still keeping Kevin Stefanski at this point. I'm keeping Kevin Stefanski on the team. I think part of, when Deshaun came to the Browns, a lot of the talk was between the connection that those two have. I don't think we've seen enough of it yet. We've seen one game of Deshaun when he was really playing a little bit better. So it's too small of a sample size for me. If you've been patient this long, right? I think you need to at the minimum. We've got to see the full picture of the rest of this year, and then yes, I do. I would have never said this entering the year, but I do think when we finish the season, you have to have a honest, fair evaluation, because I do think it could go that it would not shock me at this point if they do fire everybody and they start, and I hate saying that, but that is a reasonable, plausible path that can be taken.
I wouldn't call it reasonable. I'd call it plausible.
Sorry,
I think you're 100%. Yeah. I think the way you said that, it really sums it up really well. I mean, this is kind of, I don't know. This is kind of what I think.
Okay.
And so I've gone back and forth on this, not because I think they should move on from Kevin Stefanski, but because I don't trust Jimmy Haslam like everybody else does on the internet. Like, reason tells me that Stefanski was a big part, as more information has come out, he was a big part of Watson's decision to come here. So if Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski were this brain trust putting it together like we are being told and like the information that is coming out, then it would be kind of crazy to me to not see it through. I mean, you have put all of your apples into the Deshaun Watson bucket. So get the opportunity to see what's in that bucket. Now, I think that comes with, like you said, an honest evaluation. If they sit down with Kevin Stefanski, he's like, I'm running it back with Prefer and Woods and this and that, and he's not willing to make changes, which I don't think is who Kevin Stefanski is. I think he is willing to adapt. I think his offense will tell you that he's willing to adapt, because he has now run more RPOs in 2 games than he ever has as a head coach and play caller. In 2 games with Deshaun Watson, he has run more zone reads and RPOs than he ever did in his first 2 seasons here and as a coordinator in Minnesota in 2 games. So that shows you the evolution. We talked about that. Can he evolve? He's evolving. His offense evolved to Brissett, and now his offense is evolving to capitalize on a true talent. So I think you got to sit down and say, listen, you knew there was a possibility Watson wouldn't play at all this year. That was always on the table, which tells me you still thought it was okay to go through with it, which makes me think there's a guarantee. I think he should be here. His offense, his numbers, what he has done as a play caller has been great. There are things with leadership and discipline and too many penalties and not holding guys accountable. Although they held Perrion Winfrey accountable, and it's starting to play better. So there's a lot of that stuff that I think you can make an argument that he shouldn't return. But when you look at if you step back, you take off the glasses and you say, let's look at this big picture, I think it would be kind of silly not to bring Kevin Stefanski back for a full year with Deshaun Watson. But there needs to be an honest internal look and realize that everything cannot stay the same. Just because Watson is going to play for a full season, it's not going to magically fix Joe Woods and Mike Prefer and some of these issues that they have. So as long as they have that decision, I think, ultimately he comes back and it's the right call.
Okay. Because everything honestly hinges on where this goes with Deshaun. Because let's be honest, if this doesn't work, by the time you have draft picks again, and by the time if this doesn't work, you are selling off your pieces and you are going into a rebuild. That's where it's at. You sold out the farm to get this team that you have now. And yes, they still have the ability to add and improve, but it is significantly. Most of what your team is the picks you spent on Deshaun and Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett and David Njoku and the extensions for Bitonio and Teller and all of these guys and Denzel Ward, who, there's lots of questions there, but all these guys you've extended.
Are we ready to talk about Denzel Ward?
Yeah, I think that's a perfect segue. But all I'm saying is that you extended all of these guys, you paid all of these guys, nonstop. Deshaun's a $230 million player, right? And everybody wants to say that at every chance they can possibly get.
They sure do.
They sure do. So you're in a spot right now where you are all in. You're all in for this. So if Kevin Stefanski is a big part of what Deshaun came for, if that's the true formula that is going that you're putting your eggs in your basket in, then I think you have to see it through, because it's this or it's win or bust at this point. Those are your two options. So and that's the scariest part, because all these guys that we've known to be so young for so long, all of a sudden we're going to be like, well, they've been in, Myles Garrett's going to be in year seven.
Yeah, he's only 27 though, or something like that.
I know he's still in his prime, but my point is, time is of the essence. Time is of the essence because you drafted Baker Mayfield number 1 overall. Obviously, you've got one playoff win out of that. That didn't work, right? So all that time that you spent trying to compete and trying to win, it didn't amount to where you wanted to go. So you pushed your eggs into this basket to try to salvage and reclaim, all of this, all of the 0-16, the 1-31, the losing and the tanking and the cap rollover and the pick acquisition. All of that was to get this team now. So there is no time to not, and we knew, like you said, Jacob, we knew with this Deshaun suspension, he could be suspended for the year. And then when we suspended 11 games, we said, well, more than likely this isn't a playoff season, even though I really wanted to say we're going to win. We're going to go to playoffs anyway. But the point is, next year is probably the most important of all of them. And that's where
it's the ultimatum, right? Like it's the culmination of all of this coming together. I will get, MC does bring up valid point. Say what you want about Haslam, but he has given these coaches in the front office everything they've asked for. It does seem like it. It does. It does. And that is why, at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, you're right. He's going to be back. He's going to be back. He's going to be good. Now they start like 0-4. I'm not guarantee he will get a full season next year if they're bad. But I think he'll go into the season. He'll be your coach week 1. I think it'll be successful. We'll talk about all that in the end of the season. But I'm just saying, I don't know. We got this dude named Dix on Chin. It's Jerry. It's funny. He's a goober. He says he agrees. Give him one season together. I always mess with him. So we'll move over to the defense and where I stepped in it. I had the audacity, stupid me, to speak ill of an Ohio State Buckeye, and the Bucknuts let me hear it. Denzel Ward's been bad. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I actually wrote down to make sure we talked about it. All I wrote down was Denzel sucks. That's it. That's all I wrote down. I just wanted to remind myself to say that tonight. So let's talk about it. All right. So what I was saying is he got paid and phoned it in. I'm not saying he's not trying. Yeah, that is how I phrased it, and that was probably poor phrasing on my part. So I do apologize for that aspect of it. But I'm an Ohio State guy. I love my Buckeyes. I want Buckeyes on the Browns. But if you suck, I'm going to tell you that you suck. Listen, there was only one player on defense on this Sunday, that graded worse than Denzel Ward, and that was Isaiah Thomas, who's a 7th round rookie. Ugh. Denzel Ward's grades this week: 41.3 defense, 42 in coverage, 43 in run defense, 44 in tackling. He missed 25% of his tackle attempts. He allowed 5 catches for 12.6 yards per catch, 9 yards after catch, 63 yards and a touchdown. I don't really blame him for that touchdown because he was supposed to have help over top, and then Joe Burrow just threw an absolute dart in there. And then Jamar Chase didn't even see it until it was a touchdown. Jamar Chase was like, "Oh, hey, touchdown." I was like, "Oh shit." But it was a crazy one. And it was really funny. But so anyway, Denzel Ward, those are the numbers from this year. I say, he gets there, and I've seen a lot of people that say it's 100% Joe Wood's fault. That's insane to me. They say, well, he's playing this zone and he's not playing any press man. It's the same system that Denzel earned this contract in. So how do you explain that? How do you explain how he excelled in it last year, and this time it's just Joe Woods? Joe Woods has his part. He has his part in all of the struggles on that side because I do not think he's a good coordinator. But you cannot look me in the eye and go watch every snap of Denzel Ward. I've watched them all. I was told multiple times I need to watch the games. I have watched all of it. All 22 comes out right before this show, so I have not seen that for this game.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it for all the other games. Let's put this year into perspective for you. They tell me I can't just use PFF grades. PFF grades are good when you want to tout a player, but they're not always fair, and you don't want to use it when they're negative. I got told that. Let's use old reliable. Let's use Pro Football Reference.
Okay.
Denzel Ward, 20. Let's talk about prior to this year. Let's talk about his rookie year. He allows a 51% completion percentage. That's pretty good. His second year, 48.2. That's really good. All right. 2020 in Joe Woods' system with no help, that defense was horrible, only allows a 54.3%. Then the regression starts. Last year, he allows 60%. This year, 67.8%. He's allowed 67.8%. He has allowed 12.9 yards per completion, 2 touchdowns, and a 99.3 passer rating when targeted.
That's bad.
That includes 155 yards after catch, and he has missed 4 tackles and 3 games. Okay.
That's your $100 million corner.
That's your $100 million corner. His grades this year, 44.3 overall, 37 in run defense, 47 in coverage. He has, this is all according to PFF, he has 8 missed tackles, 1 interception, 106.9 passer rating allowed. Some of these numbers are a little bit different because different sites track them differently. And so that's why they're a little bit different. That's why I'm showing you both of those. Mm-hmm. Everything, every metric, every site, every place that analyzes football will agree. Maybe not every, I guess there could be some bucknut site out there I don't know about. But this is by far his worst year. And everybody's like, well, he's not buying in. They don't want to play for this coordinator. Well, then I've got a different problem. If you're just angry that you don't like your boss, so you're just going to sabotage stuff and you're going to play poorly and it's not your fault and you're going to deflect and you're going to be grumpy and you're going to run your mouth and you're going to do all this crap, I don't want you on the team anyway then, because you're always going to get adversity in the NFL. And if you're telling me the adversity of being in a system that isn't perfectly tailored to you perfectly and take care of your delicate little ego, you're going to throw a fit and play like shit. I ain't giving you $100 million for that. That's what I think about Denzel Ward's season. That doesn't mean he can't return to form next year, but there's a very, very serious problem and it needs addressing.
It does. I don't have a good explanation for, Denzel. I thought Denzel earned his contract last year. When the Browns paid him, I was happy about it. I was, he's really seemed like this guy's going to be our cornerback one moving into the future. We've got it locked down. He's in his prime. This is great. It's amazing too, because last year, one of the most iconic pictures of the whole year was Denzel's interception of Jamar Chase when they played the Bengals last year. And that really changed the whole game because he picked 6th Joe Burrow and the Browns won that game. That was their best win of the year, I think. And to see the way he's playing now, and especially when you've got Newsome and Emerson who who are both bigger and could both be outside, and then you look at Denzel Ward who's struggling and it's like a piece that is not only it's not only bad because he's playing poorly, but I feel like it's stifling what you can do defensively, because maybe Newsome and Emerson would be better options right now. I don't think that's super crazy talk, and so that's, and to be fresh off getting paid and to be playing like this. I mean, that's as far, because you paid David Njoku, who's playing well. Paid Joel Bitonio, he's playing well. Wyatt Teller's hurt right now. Before that, he was playing well. I think that the Browns have given out money, given out contract extensions pretty well overall. I think that's something Andrew Berry has done well. And the giant conundrum in the room is Denzel Ward. And I don't have great answers, Jacob. I'm not super optimistic about it right now. I just hope, we've seen Denzel kind of. I don't think he's always been the most consistent. I think he's had rougher years previously, and so I'm not saying he can't bounce back either. But at this point, it doesn't look good at all, and that's a tough pill to swallow with that defense right now, because I really thought, especially early in the game, I was like, the Browns defense is playing well enough to give them a chance to win this game. And Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins are out, right? And so you really thought
I still don't understand how you don't double Jamar in that situation.
That's
all day when those two go down. That is a singular fireable offense. Yeah. We argue about like that Kevin Stefanski 4th down play not being a fireable offense. That decision from Joe Woods to not double Jamar Chase when not only are T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd out, Hayden Hurst didn't play in that game either.
Yeah,
they were completing passes to dudes. Well, they completed a lot to Jamar, but they were completing the passes to dudes that I never heard of.
Yep.
And I know a lot of names in the NFL, and I didn't know who most of those dudes were.
Oh man, Grant Delpit just woof! Did he bite on that flea flicker?
Oh, that flea flicker got him. But I'm more angry at John Johnson than I am to Grant Delpit. I'm not saying I'm not angry at Grant Delpit. Grant Delpit had been playing better too, and I'd been giving him some praise, and it was a rough day for Grant. But I'm trying to.
It's weird. It's weird, man, because you could honestly say the defensive tackles and the defensive ends, they had a nice day. And so you keep going back to this and you say the greatest strength we thought we had. And if you go back and look at our episodes from, preseason and early in the season, we're talking about the secondary like it's going to be this the difference-making rock solid foundation for this unit to really excel and take off, maybe a top 10 unit in the NFL, and it has been anything but to this point. And that's probably my biggest disappointment of this season thus far, honestly. It's just the secondary.
I just thought about this thing that happened in a group chat, and I want to cheer people up because so we were in this group chat, Nick and I, and I believe it's not been talked in it's like so long I couldn't even find it, but it had something I think to do with some kind of fantasy football thing we were doing in the summer, like some underdog league. And there's a guy in there, and I read it and I understood it. But his his name is Don, D-O-N, and then it is Keedic. Yeah. So I will put that in the comments so everybody can visualize this real quick. So if you're on Twitter, you won't be able to see it, but you'll be able to see this on YouTube and Facebook. And Nick, he said something about it, and Nick was like, Don, you're such an outstanding individual, and was like complimenting this guy, and I'm like, Nick has to have just woken up and has not read his name. And Nick and Don goes, read my name. And Nick's like, what? I said, Nick, read his name. And he goes, Donkey Dick. Donkey Dick. And he was so mad.
I was.
You were so mad that you didn't get it. Not that somebody had made a parody account, but I could tell it was probably like 6 o'clock at night. So you had probably just woken up.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to like end.
I called him Don for a long time. I thought he was Don. Whoops.
I thought you were in on the joke.
No.
Listen, it's hilarious because I didn't know that this spaghetti monster. So there's a spaghetti monster. You've seen the spaghetti monster on Twitter that like will like comment spaghetti ghost and will comment like, you need more mozzarella cheese, and like and they were trolling us for all that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was my wife.
Was it really?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, so like, I don't know. She was like in the room with me sending troll tweets to me, and I never picked up on it.
That's amazing. I remember you had a burner for a long time.
Yeah.
and I will not disclose anything, but Jacob had a grand old time with the burner.
I did. That burner is gone. That one's gone. I may or may not still have a burner, but I don't really use it. I used to be Carnes bot, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I also deal. That one was funny because Nick was talking about how you wish somebody would make a parody account of him, and I actually had already done it. He just hadn't seen it yet, so like. It wasn't in response to that, but like you said it right after I had done it, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
We're just on the same page.
Because I had to. I don't do Photoshop, so I had somebody make it for me. I was like, "I need you to." It was JC, if we must know.
And I was so flattered too. Like it was the coolest thing. So thank you for that, Jacob.
Hey, yeah, no, like I thought it was hilarious. Jerry says, first time I met my stepdad as a kid, it was on a date with my mom. I wrote, we Todd did. Oh boy. Peak comedy, yeah. Well, anyway, we don't want to do that one.
We've dipped into a place that we were not intending to go. Anyway, I think you know what I think the main takeaway here is despite the fact that the Browns are all but eliminated from the playoffs, there's still things that you can look for that can be fun. There's still fun to be had. I think I'm past personally the point where the Browns lose and it ruins my whole day. I think
I don't care anymore.
I'm still excited to see them down the stretch and yes, the season didn't go like we wanted it to, but there's more to it than that. I think I still am optimistic about the future. Every team has problems. Every team has injuries. Every team has things that they wish they could fix. However, I still think that what I saw from the offense and you know what, if the Browns are beating themselves, that's at least something you can fix. I don't think Tony Fields is going to jump into a punter again. And Donovan Peoples-Jones, we've been so supportive of who may crack 1,000 yards. I don't think he's letting that ball go off of his chest again. I think he's showing.
Do you want me to pop that bubble?
Sure.
His feet weren't in anyway.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about that, but his feet weren't in it. I will want to say real quick, I will do a better job of pre-reading comments so I don't say things like I just did. So.
All I heard was a separation of words. I've heard no such sentences.
But yeah, no, like I do go. So final week. Okay. Final month, 4 games. Remember that after January, what is that? The 8th? After January 8th, we won't have Browns football. So no matter what, I said it last year, I will miss the hell out of them when they're gone.
Mm-hmm. I will too.
There is the opportunity going forward to see what you could see next year. And that's without all of the pieces. I don't know, man. Just sit back. It's football. Have a good time. I'll have another mock draft out on Friday morning. I'm sitting down with Corey Kennan this weekend to record some stuff on some of our top 5 defensive tackle prospects to look forward to. Okay. So we got stuff that's coming out, and we can look towards the future. And Eddie and I talked about this on Sunday. He says, I'm tired of having to say I'll wait till next year. And you know what? I am too. We all are, but it's all we got sometimes.
The greatest thing I'm looking forward to is the opportunity to sweep the Steelers. I don't know when the last time the Browns swept the Steelers was, but I think they can do it this year. And I would love that's something that'll keep me warm all offseason long if they can just sweep Pittsburgh. So
be all worth it, right?
This has been episode 86 of the Barking Browns Show. I'm Nick. He's Jacob. Go Browns.
Go Browns.